Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. This is Shawnee.
And this is Rhodey.
And welcome to Not Your Average Church Girls Podcast. With the Z.
With a Z.
How are you today, sis?
I am doing okay. How about you?
Listen, I'm still here. I'm still standing. So, I'm okay.
Well, that's good.
Yep. I try not to say any longer. I can't complain because I found that every time I say that, I'm just lying. Because there's a lot that I could truly, if I'm honest, there's a lot I could complain about.
Don't complain.
So that's why I just say I'm still standing. By God's grace, I'm still standing.
I'm still here.
Yep. So, you had a blessed Thanksgiving?
It was good. Not too busy because I always cook over about a week. I don't understand how people do it all in one day.
Well, you know what? I have a former friend who did not understand how people could cook like that or start in advance. She thought it was nasty to have serve people stale food or food that had been cooked days prior.
She never froze anything.
Listen, I'm just saying.
She never had a frozen pizza.
Right.
Or pot pie.
Right.
Or heck, even ice cubes.
Right.
And I said heck, people. Yeah, I said heck. I didn't say anything bad. But I'm saying, I don't know anybody who uses an entire tray of ice cubes at one time for one person.
Right. Right. So, yeah. So, I think she told me that she does all her cooking that day. But then I realized, just like somebody was saying, they couldn't understand how other cultures could eat at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. And I remember someone in the comments said, you got to remember, everyone does not cook like most black people, where we have to cook 30 dishes. For some people, the turkey and the ham are their main dishes. And then they may do mashed potatoes.
I don't make that all in one day. It has to marinate for a few days.
Right. So, to each his own. And we pray that everyone out there had a great and blessed Thanksgiving.
I hope you ate too much.
Yep. And don't feel guilty about it.
I hope you had to unbuckle your pants. I hope you fell asleep watching the game.
Yes.
Because Thanksgiving should not be too stuffy.
Right.
You should, wake up with food in your teeth.
Right.
Go into a food sleep coma.
Well, I did not do that, but I tell you what has been my downfall. I was very good at monitoring how much I ate. For some reason, I didn't have a huge appetite on Thanksgiving, but I think the reason why is because my mom kept using me as her tester. So when it was time to eat dinner, you
weren't hungry.
Absolutely. And because also I have acid reflux and IBS-D, I have to be careful not to overeat because I will literally get sick. So, I didn't have even half of what my mom cooked on Thanksgiving.
And that's okay.
Yes, it is. But you know what I've been indulging in? I would say safely indulging in it. She made, I think, 4 sweet potato pies. Baby, let me tell you, I've been getting my entire life with these sweet potato pies.
Yes, and let me shout out my brother-in-law's cousin, Janae, who's amazing. I love the desserts you sent me, especially a 7-Up cake.
Oh, wow. Oh, I haven't had a 7-Up cake in years. I mean, lots of years.
Best cake. She's an excellent baker. And she
wonderful.
Thinks about me every Thanksgiving or Christmas and sends me something.
That's nice. That is really, really, really nice. I know someone from my church, he cooked, I may be exaggerating, but it seemed like 50 dishes. And
probably not.
He, I'm exaggerating, but it was at least about 25. And he made pineapple upside down cake. He made a lemon glazed cake. He made homemade apple pie, homemade sweet potato pies, and I didn't have all those choices, but I just had sweet potato pie. But baby, I've been getting my life with those sweet potato pies.
Well, I'm glad if you had a lot of people to celebrate with, if you had a small amount to celebrate with, if you volunteered on Thanksgiving, because some people do that too. I hope you had an amazing time. I hope you had great conversations. I hope you laughed with strangers, because sometimes that's the best laugh.
Listen, that is the truth. That really is the truth.
Because ShopRite had a sale on cheese the week of Thanksgiving, so everybody who made any dish with cheese in it was in the cheese aisle. We were standing there, and she's looking in the refrigerator, and she said, "Where is this certain kind of cheese? They always have it. If they don't have any, I'm going to be upset."
What?
And I said, "You mean the one that's right in front of your eye level?" And she grabbed me, and we laughed like we were old friends. I loved it.
It's so funny that you said that, because the same thing happened to me in Boscov's. I was looking for a mixer, and I knew I was in the right section. And I'm not one of those people that try to bother, the salespeople. I try to be self-sufficient and look for things myself. But I was getting aggravated because I was starting to veer out of that section. And I'm like, okay, I doubt if it's over here with the pots and pans. I know it has to be over there. I see blenders. I see toasters. I see air fryers. I saw like the KitchenAid type mixers. So I'm thinking, like, where? I just cannot. I'm looking everywhere. Cannot find it. So I finally said, you know what? I just have to go ask for help. And so the guy said, "Oh, sure, I'll come help you." The exact place where I had just finished staring, is the exact place where he took me and said, "Here they are." And I said, "Oh my God, sir, I was standing here. I did not even see. How could they be right here? And I did not see them." He laughed. So he said, "Listen, I work here, and the same thing has happened to me." He said, "So it's okay." I said, "Oh my, how was they right in my face and I did not see them?"
It happens.
It does. Well,
I love that. I love that everybody. I hope you had a great time.
Yes.
And I hope you enjoyed yourself. And
yes, enjoyed your family or your friend or whatever you chose to do. Whether you just chose. I realized for myself, I said, "You know what, God? Even if I had to be alone on this day eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, allow me to be grateful that I had bread, that I had peanut butter, and I had jelly." So we just pray that everyone had a blessed Thanksgiving. And Rhodey, tell the good people, what is our topic for this week?
Our topic for this week is Until the Wheels Fall Off.
Baby, I like it.
And what I mean by that is, are you the type of person that gets an iPhone every time there's a new version? Or are you more like me, where if something breaks and duct tape will hold it together, I'll get the duct tape.
No,
it will literally
I'll get the duct tape.
Never work again. Sometimes before I upgrade.
Yeah, well, see, the problem with me is, this is what they do to me is, only reason why I have an iPhone 13, they're trying to force me to upgrade out of this iPhone 13. The problem I have is, if I just had a phone just to have a phone, that would be one thing. But I do my business on my phone. We do our podcast on my phone. I do all of my uploads for my ministry on my phone. So my phone is really important to me. And so this is the God honest truth. Apple, I don't care what anyone says. Verizon said it's not them. They said it's Apple that does this. That goes and they start playing with your phone. They'll start making your phone slow, where
Slower
things
on
don't,
purpose.
yes, where things don't upload as quickly as they used to upload, or you can't get into apps as quickly as you used to be able to get into, or they start crash. I mean, like, before I got this iPhone 13, when I tell you the stuff that Apple was doing to my phone to force me to upgrade, it got to the point that I had no other choice but to upgrade, because I literally could not upload any of my spiritual videos. Huh?
You couldn't do anything. You were like,
I could not
I
do
might as well
any.
throw it in the trash.
Yeah, Brody, I couldn't upload any of my spiritual videos. Not even one. So I had no other choice but to upgrade. But I'm like you, until the wheels. If it's something that I don't have, if it's not something that's imperative, that is gonna take, impact my life in a really great way, like the phone would have impacted my life, because that's impacted my ministry. If it was just me not having that, all that stuff, we didn't have the podcast, all that stuff, me just having a phone to text or call, baby, I would still had the iPhone 10 or whatever I had. I want to upgrade it.
I would have always trying to get you to upgrade everything, even if there's zero need for you to do so.
It's unbelievable. But even in friendships, and someone told me I'm a little too loyal, because I'm even like this with doctors. Like, I can be with a doctor until the wheels fall off, and it's just like I'm just coming to the realization, like, even I'll say maybe this year, Shaniqua, if this doctor is no longer serving you the way that you need to be served, you don't have to feel guilty about getting another doctor.
That's true. Absolutely.
But it has taken me a long time to get there. Like, my PCP, I'm riding with her. Shout out to my PCP. You know who you are. Baby, I'm riding with her until the wheels fall off. Until either, God forbid, God takes me out of state or take her out of state. That's how I'm riding with my PCP.
And staying with something until the wheels fall off isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No.
But sometimes it's not always necessarily a good thing
either. Absolutely.
I still have my old phone. I had to upgrade because my old phone started to hang up on people. It wouldn't keep a charge.
Yeah, that's what I'm going through right now.
And I love the phone, and I would have kept it if it kept on working, but my son finally talked me into getting up, and he's like, Mom, you have to, because you'll be mid-conversation, and the phone will just hang up.
Yup. Brody, I had the same problem. The same exact problem.
I had to have a charger and a backup battery everywhere I went, because it would not keep a charge.
Yep.
At all. So, I finally got, but I still have the old phone. But that was I was like, I will keep it. And I actually still use the old phone because it has games and stuff on it that I used to play. And I still play from time to time. But I can't depend on it. That's why, the only reason I got rid of it. But,
and also sometimes going to something more extreme, sometimes people ride until the wheels fall off in relationships or even friendships when you should have been stopped those wheels. Like, sometimes, whether it's family, whether it's friends, it can even be church family. If someone is disturbing your peace, if someone is manipulating you or taking away your joy or harming you in any type of way, you don't need to be loyal to that person or to those people that are hurting you. Sometimes it could be family that constantly hurt you over and over. Like, you know how sometimes in families, you go to a family function and they always choose one person to always want to pick on and laugh about.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, always, for example, if I went, I'm not that person, but if I went down south, and every time I went down south, my family would like to gang up on me. All Nick do is wear skirts. All Nick do is look like she going to church. Now, well, they have said that to me though. But it's not like they're ganging up on me. It's just a couple of them have said that to me. But if everybody was ganging on me, why you always wear a skirt? Why you never wear pants? Or why you always look like the way you look? Listen, sometimes you have to, for your own sanity, And for your own peace of mind, sometimes you have to detach yourself from situations. And I tell people this all the time. When I was growing up, I did not have control over my peace. But I refuse as an adult not to have control over my peace. I refuse to allow anyone to disturb my peace. And if you disturb my peace, listen, you don't have to move because I'm going to do the moving. I'm going to remove myself. I did it a couple years ago with my niece, who I call a princess. She was truly disturbing my peace. She wasn't acting right. She wasn't doing right. Guess what I had to do? Detach myself from her. Blocked her number. She knew I was upset with her. She knew I was not speaking with her. I was still diligently praying for her. But no, you need to get yourself together. You can't always allow someone else's problem to become your issue.
No, you can't.
Hello. Oh no, I was sorry.
No, you can't.
Oh, I thought you was going to continue, so that's why I just said that. I know I was talking for a minute, so I said let me hush and let her talk some.
No, I mean it is with some family, some friends. It even might be a supermarket. If the supermarket had a great, wonderful person, and now they've replaced a wonderful person with somebody who's less than stellar, you might have to go to another market.
Know what? And you know what, Rhodey? And that's something that may seem simple, but it really is not simple because sometimes some people are creatures of habit.
Everyone is a creature of habit.
In some way.
That's how some people get murdered.
Well, that too.
I'm just serious.
You
change up your routine.
Well, you know what? But you're not wrong in that, because even me, when I walk my dogs, even though I live in a decent neighborhood, listen, hurt, harm, and danger come to you anywhere. So even myself, I switch up how I walk them. Like, I don't always just start off walking them in the same direction all the time. I do dips and turns and do different things so no one can see my pattern. To say, oh, every day she walks straight up, or every day she turns around this way, or no, you're never going to get my pattern. So she's absolutely right in saying that some people really are A-type personalities where they can't make it. They're so tight in their thinking and stuff. Yes, that they can't make changes. And like she said, okay, harm can come to you with that type of thinking.
Now, don't read too much into it, people, because I am one of those people who watches Dateline and Murder podcasts all the time. So, yes, change your routine, but don't think if you don't change your routine, somebody's going to drag you.
Somebody's going to come out and get you. Right. Listen. My thing is, I know I'm covered in the blood, but I feel like I need to do my due diligence as well. That's how, yes. Just personally, that's how I feel.
You should do like me and my sister say, trust in God, but lock your car.
But listen, lock your door. Don't say, oh, I know I'm covered in the blood, so I can keep my keys, when you know you left your keys in the door. Don't get me wrong. There's been times I've been in here knocked out sleep with my door open or keys left in the door, but it was unintentional. I did not realize those things had happened.
Do it on purpose.
Right. But when you know something is a situation and you do it anyway, listen, you're treading on thin ice. But I really actually like this topic. I really do like this topic because some people are so loyal, even like with friends. I'll give you a perfect example. Let's talk about celebrities. You'll hear celebrities say how, I actually just heard, I don't even know, I don't follow this guy, so he must have been like on Entertainment Tonight or something like that. I don't know, he was doing an interview with someone, Mike Epps. And,
yeah.
And he was saying how, and he's not the first person I heard to say this, but how when he made it, he felt so guilty that he felt like he had to bring everyone else along with him, like all his homeboys and stuff.
Yeah, haven't we learned from MC Hammer?
Thank you. I mean, I was going to bring him up next. And he said not only that, like he was so stressed out that he was doing cocaine. And he said he knows that when he would be around his friends, doing cocaine, depressed about just like where he really shouldn't have had anything to be depressed about, but he was carrying the load of his friends when he was around them, in his state of doing drugs, of being depressed. They would be like, man, I love you, I got you, da-da. But once he got to the place where he was like, I'm not going to do drugs no more, da-da-da, he said that everybody turned on him. They felt like, you think you all that. Fat Joe, I know who Fat Joe is. He had I think it was Fat Joe, if I'm not mistaken. He said he did this thing with his friends. Either Fat Joe or LL Cool J, but I want to say it was Fat Joe. He said he did this experiment with his friends. He had maybe about 14 or 15 of his friends around him that used to be around him every day. You know how people have their entourage. And he said what he did was he set them all down. And he said, I just got to let you guys know I can't do what I used to do, what I normally do for you guys. I've made some bad investments. I've spent, too much money. And now I'm either broke or bankrupt. I can't remember which one he said. But however, he was saying he no longer had money. And he said that he did this just to see who was for him and who wasn't for him. And he said out of all those people, I think he said only 3 to 4 people stayed. And he said,
I'm not surprised.
And he said those are people that he still rock with to this day. And that sometimes you have to do drastic things like that to find out, to kind of weed out the good from the bad.
I'm not surprised at all. And it's a shame that you find out people like that, because some people are only around you to get what they can get from you.
Absolutely.
And don't assume everybody is a taker that's around you.
Right.
There are people that are only around you as long as they can get something from you.
And don't assume just because God has blessed someone with more, with abundance, that they have changed. And maybe they have changed. Maybe they have changed, but it's not a bad change. Maybe they just have to put up more boundaries and different things. Don't take everything so personal. People take things so.
I just had to tell someone that.
What? Don't take it so personally.
Don't take everything
so
personally.
People do. They take, for example, you say you think you're cool with someone, and they breath smell a little, rotten, and you may say, would you like a piece of gum? And they decline. Would you like a breath mint? They decline. Would you like an Altoid? Now, my thing is, if you don't get the picture, if somebody keep offering you different things, and you keep saying no, and the person said, well, your breath is not smelling as fresh as it should be. Especially if they're not saying it around other people, or if they're not being ignorant with it, because some people could just be really
rude.
Yes, with their mouths. If they're trying to be polite and tell you, don't take it personal that they're saying to you that your breath don't smell that great.
You may just, I was always taught this is what you do. You take a mint and then you give the other person a mint, so they maybe won't take it as personal.
Absolutely. That's what I do. I'll take a piece because gum is my favorite. I'll take a stick of gum and I'll be like, would you like a piece? Now, sometimes don't just assume that if I offer you, I'm just saying you're bursting, because that's not always the case. I'm just being polite and offering you because I took a piece of gum. But if someone's, that's just like, I would rather, like, I suffer, people in my church now, because I always say this before I have to preach, I suffer from dry mouth severely. I severely suffer with dry mouth. And I always say, please do not let me stand up here with the yuck mouth. I don't want to be standing up here foaming from the corner of my mouth. And everybody's looking at me and can't even receive the word because they're too busy looking at my nasty mouth. Like, somebody get my attention and say, like try to do something, let me know, clean my mouth. I would be offended if you knew I was up there with the yuck mouth and you didn't try to get my attention and tell me anything. Because I would be embarrassed.
Absolutely.
So, and talk about riding till the wheels fall off. How about church? Some people feel like because they were born and raised in a church, that means they have to die in that church. And when I say die in that church, I don't mean physically die, like die in the church, but meaning like they cannot move memberships. They can't, if that church is no longer serving their spiritual well-being, their spiritual needs, they don't feel like they can go and pray and say, God, I need you to send me somewhere else. They feel like they have to stay in that church because they were born in that church, or they were raised in that church, or their grandmama was is the pastor of that church.
That's true.
Look, matter of fact, Rhodey is a perfect example because her dad is an actual pastor.
Yes, he is.
But that's not where her membership... Well, maybe her membership is there too. But I know she goes to my church.
The majority of the time, I'm not at my dad's church.
Yeah, she's at our church. So... Can I ask... So I know you ended up in our church because of your mom. Is that why?
That is true.
Now, does your sister go to your dad's church?
Yes.
Okay. But God knew what he was doing because he knew that we needed Rhodey. He knew that we needed her gifts and her talents and her speed for cleaning.
My speed with cleaning just has to, I want to go home.
Oh, is that what it is?
Basically.
Oh, okay.
But no one beats Karen.
No, I was great saying too. I was about to say it too. No, we don't normally name drop, but you guys don't know who we're talking about. Yeah,
a beautiful sister.
Yes.
Such a sweetheart.
Yes, no one can outdo this woman. I tell you, and I don't even try. Honey, I'd be so glad to see her.
If she's cleaning, the best thing for you, honestly, to do is get out of her way.
Yes. And
don't
guess
try
what?
To help her.
I will gladly move. Because I know for a fact I can clean well, but I'm not the fastest.
She's just that. That's her thing.
That may be her ministry. That could be her ministry.
Get out of her way. Because trying to help her is nice, but you're really just in her way.
Get in her way because she just knows how to do it. Some people just have that gift of knowing how to do it. You know? So, don't feel like, because you were raised in that church, or because your mama is the pastor, or your uncle is the deacon of that church. If that church is no longer... Listen, I'm not telling anyone to leave their church. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, if that church is no longer feeding you spiritually, if they are no longer meeting your spiritual needs, you should pray and ask God where you should go. Don't be afraid to ask God to send you somewhere, because I don't believe in church hopping. That I don't believe in.
And what we mean, for those who don't know what church hopping is like every 3 months, you're the member of a new church.
Right.
And we're like, didn't you just belong to
right.
So,
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with visiting churches.
Right.
To fellowship with other people, because you need to fellowship with other people. So there might be a wonderful minister that can preach for your family and friends day.
Absolutely.
But you'll never meet them if you're always doing only things at your church.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Church hopping and visiting are two very different things.
Absolutely. And I think those are two things yeah. People get, they kind of interchange. Like, people think they're interchangeable.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not.
Mm-mm.
So my whole point
church hopping is like, if I see you on social media and you say, I go to ABC Church, and then 3 months later, you're at DEF Church. I'm a member, I'm on the usher board, I'm on the choir, I'm on this. And then After that, you belong to the next. You're like,
right.
Wait a minute, didn't you just belong to
Right. It's very dangerous on a spiritual level.
Because you're not staying long enough to be fed.
And not only that, you're opening your spiritual portals to receiving different things. And because let's be honest, just because it's a church doesn't mean that it's a church that has been ordained by God. Let's just be honest here.
I heard a minister say, I think it was Bishop Patterson, but it could have been somebody else. They were like, you would not believe the amount of churches that were started because somebody refused to apologize.
See, my point. Everyone doesn't always want to be an Indian. Some people just want to be a chief. And so because they want to be a chief, they don't have the spirit of servitude. They want to just be in the leadership role. Or, you know how some people just want to have a business or want to be in a certain position because they want to be the boss.
But being the people I don't think people realize how hard it is being the boss, because everything falls on
everything. You have to do everything. You have to do everything. Yes,
inventory falls on you. If you have a vehicle that your business uses, the insurance for the car falls on you. The gas, the maintenance,
everything. If you have employees, making sure you are able to afford to be able to pay those employees fall on you. I mean, it's a lot having your own business. It's a lot being an entrepreneur, being a business owner. So, so the point is, don't just always feel like if you're in a situation, don't feel like you have to stay in that situation. It could be you could be at a job. Mm-hmm. And you could be so unhappy at this job. You don't have any fulfillment at this job. Maybe it's a job where you can't advance at this job. There's nowhere else for you to go. You can't go any higher. And you're so unhappy to, like, when you wake up, you're like, oh, I have to go to work again. Like you hate it that much. You have that much disdain for it. But maybe you feel like you owe them your loyalty because maybe they helped you out when you were sick or something, or maybe it's more of a mom and pop shop, something like that, and maybe they were very generous to you when your parents were sick and you needed time off to care for your loved one, so you feel like you owe them. You don't have to owe them for the rest of your life.
No, you don't.
That's what we mean about riding until the wheels fall off. You don't have to ride until the wheels fall off with every situation.
There was a woman that I worked with at a job that I absolutely could not stand. But this woman was amazing. She was in another state, and she would go above and beyond for this particular employer, and he was cuckoo. And I would ask her sometimes, I'm like, why are you doing all this for him? You're such a nice person, but at 5 o'clock needs to be 5 o'clock. Ain't no way in the world you need to be answering emails 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. You still have to be in the office at 8 o'clock in the morning. Wow. She was like, well, so-and-so and so. She was like, my husband and family tell me the same thing. I shouldn't be bringing my laptop on vacation. I shouldn't be answering the phone. I'm like, girl, you good. Because work is from 9 to 5, or however your hours are. Your laptop should not be on vacation with you.
It's funny that you just said that, because I just saw this article on Newsbreak. Someone I guess they had just gotten hired at a corporation or whatever, and they had not even literally started yet. I guess how you get hired, but you have not started the position yet.
Yeah, you might get hired and start next Monday.
Right. Well, because the manager sent them an email over the weekend, and the person did not respond to the email over the weekend, the person was fired even before they started the job.
I wish I could say you were kidding, but I know that you're not.
Yep. And I'm like, a lot of people in the comments like, you really don't understand, but you really dodge a bullet with that company. And I absolutely agree. Agree. I mean, unless you're in such a higher up position where
like a trauma surgeon,
right, and you know that you're on call. And that you know that you always have to have your pager on or your phone on or you always have to have your emails active and actively reading your emails. If you're in one of those positions, that's different. Most people are not in that position.
No, you're right.
Most people are not. Let's be real. Most people are not in those type of positions. So for people to demand, and I even think about myself for when I have my boutiques, and when I have my different companies, that if I even have a manager that even acts like, I don't care that you are a manager, I want you to treat everyone fairly. I want you to treat everyone with respect. I'm going to make it known to everyone that no one is above HR. Because sometimes I've learned that in jobs, people think because they're the team lead or because they're the supervisor or the manager or the vice president that they can just treat people like trash.
Or sometimes they're not even in those positions.
And they still act like that.
You might just be the person that has the longest tenure at the company.
That's true too.
You're not a manager.
Yep.
You're not a supervisor. You're not anything. You just feel like I've been here the longest, so people should just listen to me.
That's absolutely true.
And you're like, you are on the same level as I am. Have a seat.
You know what? That is the God honest truth. You're absolutely, that is really true. That is really, really true. So my point of saying this is, just because you're at one of those positions, if someone being there for you, someone helping you out, does not mean that you have to be with that company until the wheels fall off.
No, because let me tell you, we all know, we've heard it on the news, big companies, large and small. You have been faithful and loyal to that company for however long a time, and your reasons are your own for staying there as long as you have. And then sometimes they'll give you a speech. They'll bring everybody into the room and say, we hate to tell you this. And they always seem to do, why do they always seem to do it around Christmas?
And I think it's so heartless. And you're right about that, though. It does seem to happen a lot around the holidays.
Around Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's.
Yep.
They're like, nope. And they might walk you all into the conference room and say, well, we're very sorry to tell you X, Y, and Z. And they're reading from a prepared speech because they don't want to answer any questions. And they'll say, we're sorry. In 2 weeks, the company's going to close. You'll get maybe, if they're nice, because this doesn't always happen, they might give you 2 months of severance pay and send you on your way. Yeah. And in some companies,
don't give you anything.
They don't even tell you anything.
That's
especially
true.
Like these. I've heard it on the news almost every year, and I know Shaniqua has heard it too. They'll walk up to the door expecting to go in, and the door's just padlocked.
And honestly, you know what company that's like that? And it's not a secret. X, that's formerly known as Twitter. A lot of people, or even just Tesla. I've read a lot of articles of people that thought they were hired, they were hired, and they showed up just to find out that they were fired before they actually even started. I've read articles on, I forgot, I don't know if it was Twitter before it became X, or it was some large company that the president fired everyone either over email or over a video.
That's happened more than once.
I'm like, people are so heartless. So heartless. So my thing is, when it comes to, especially when you're working for corporations and stuff like this, my thing is, they're not faithful to you. No matter how faithful you think you are and how faithful you think these people are to you. At the end of the day, God forbid, if you were to drop dead today or tomorrow, they will have your position posted so fast.
And they would raid your desk.
Like seriously, they will
That
have
candy jar that you think no one knows about, it will be empty.
Yeah, listen, they will have a box, an empty box at your desk so fast, asking one of your coworkers to pack your stuff up for your family members.
Because I used to be a administrative assistant at a law firm, and if somebody got let go clean out the desk. Because most of the time, people are so in shock when they get let go, they don't think to take their stuff with them. They just
leave. And they're just probably upset, and then they probably just, you just want to get out of there.
You're like, let me get out of the way so I don't hit anybody and get arrested.
Especially when they allow you to work that full day.
Oh, that is just... That is mean. That is so mean. Because you're like, you knew that I was fired yesterday.
Right.
Why did you let me come in here, waste my gas, waste my time?
Absolutely.
Because I could have been on Indeed or ZipRecruiter or someplace else looking for a job. Now, sometimes, I know I've gotten the spidey sense because I've been fired quite a few times from jobs. Yes, I have. I am not a person that can keep a job, even if I go in there and keep my mouth shut.
Well, I've only been fired once. And the reason, and I'll tell you this, I feel like it's like when I first started working, and I feel like it wasn't my fault. And the reason, I'm going to tell you why I feel like it wasn't my fault. Because I was being trained by someone who English was not their first language. And because English was not the person's first language, I believe the person was still trying to learn English at the same time. So as this person is training me, I just didn't understand some of the stuff she was saying to me. And I would keep asking, I would keep saying, I don't understand. And I could tell she was getting annoyed by me saying to her, I didn't understand what she was saying to me. And so I had to kind of try to figure it out. And then when she pushed me out there to do what I think I was in accounts payable, I believe. And you know how you start a job? Have you ever started a job? This is the only time I ever had this problem before. Have you ever started a job where you can tell that there's a click?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, that was my one and only time, and it was at this job, that I could tell that there was a clique of people. And I could tell they looked down on me because I could tell how they were acting. They didn't want to help me or anything. So I didn't stay long. I think maybe 2 weeks at that job. I came in one day. I think I finished the day out. And this is why I said this. And then they called me into the office. And I said to the manager, well, I'm not trying to be funny. I can't understand what she's saying to me. And she's the one that trained me. But it was all good because 2 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant with my daughter. And I ended up with bed rest anyway. So, it is what it is. But that was my first and only time ever being fired. And like I said,
I wish I could say that I can.
They waited until the end of the day to fire me.
To fire you, exactly. This is why I need the Lord to bless me financially so I can start my own companies.
Listen, I already sit down and talk about my employee guidelines, about whether I want employees to be able to date. I think about all of that stuff. The thing I want mostly in my companies is kindness, compassion,
mutual respect.
Yes, mutual respect, honesty. I don't want people to feel like they can't go to their managers.
That's all. I remember I worked at one law firm, and they would drag us into meetings, and they would say, "Well, anybody have anything to say?" And you could, as my sister says, you could hear a mouse pee on a cotton ball because it was so quiet.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And people, they say, "Why aren't you talking? Why aren't you talking?" Why would I?
Right.
Because everybody knows that y'all have a habit of retaliating against people.
That is something I am not going to tolerate.
Because if somebody comes to you with a genuine concern or a genuine question, next thing you know, your hours getting cut.
Absolutely.
Or you weren't invited to there was a company-wide meeting and you didn't hear about it.
Right. Or there was a company Christmas party and somehow they forgot your invitation.
Exactly.
Yeah, I refuse to tolerate that kind of stuff. I never dealt with that kind of stuff. I just know it goes on, and I refuse to. I actually want to implement where my managers have to, on a weekly basis, check in with their employees. Like, check in with them, make sure they're good mentally. And I want to be, I may not be as accessible depending on how huge my companies get as I would like, but I want them to know that higher ups are listening and that we are accessible. If you feel like your manager is not listening or if your manager is retaliating against you.
I have been to so many companies like that where you're like, I'm upset and I'm justifiably upset, but I can't talk to anybody because if I say something, especially some of your coworkers, you might say something innocently like, oh, I don't like that my boss did this, and next thing you know, you're in the office and you're like, wait, what?
Oh yeah, you have to. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You have to be careful. You have to be careful.
And then people say, you're so quiet. You never talk. Well, I can't even tell y'all today is Tuesday, and think that you're not going to go tell somebody.
Oh my God, I've never had that problem. What the problems I used to have is I never forget. I was team lead, so we had my manager, the supervisor, and then me as a team lead. Or, well, my manager, I wouldn't say, well, he was actually the vice president. So he was the vice president. Then you had, I guess, a manager or supervisor, whoever you want to call her. Then you had me, the team lead. And one time we were in a meeting, and he has done this on a couple of occasions. And my manager said, maybe a situation happened, dealing with money and stuff. And she said, A, B, C, D. And he's looking at her. And you know how people just, you could kind of feel when eyes are just going across the boardroom.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then suddenly he goes, Shawnee, is that what happened? And then all eyes turn on me. And everybody know I'm Christian and I can't lie. And I have to tell the truth.
Well, thou shalt not lie is not a commandment.
Well, you know.
But you're not encouraged to lie. You're not encouraged to lie. But sometimes you can just be like, oh, me?
I'll say it like this. I was able to word it without me lying and without me making her look like she was a liar.
Even though she was.
Yes, I was able to do it without making her look like a liar and without me actually lying.
Well, that's good.
Yes. That was God, because I was like, when he first did it, I was like shocked. Like, wait, what? Like, why are you asking me? And because I had my manager, she was one of those people that will cry easily. And although she was over me, I used to try to protect her.
And that's good.
Well, no. Let me tell you about talk about riding until the wheels fall off. I used to try to protect her, so people wouldn't know that how much she was crying at work, and not knowing that all the other departments already knew, because when they would come over to her for help, you know how when you work in a company where you have different departments, but like the work that we did, we received our work from different departments. So maybe they had to come to us about a question about something we did on their whatever they sent over to us. And I didn't realize she would be crying in front of a lot of different people, so people already knew this. So I would help her with a lot of her work. And in addition to me being the team lead and having to check everybody else's work, I would be doing a lot of her duties. So I remember one time I was staying late because I actually was helping her with her work so that she wouldn't be so overwhelmed the next day. And so the vice president walked past. He was like, Shawnee, why are you still here? And I was like, I'm just, working. So he was like, no, you can leave that tomorrow. I was like, no, I just want to get, he said, no, let me see what you're working on. Well, why are you, that's not even for you. Why are you doing that? That's not even your job. And I said,
because yes, you can't wear yourself out trying to make sure that somebody else is good.
Well, lo and behold, fast forward to another time, we had a situation where someone sent something and they wanted us to sell something. And I couldn't sell it because it had a restriction on it. And so I asked her, should I go ahead and just have them take the restriction off, or should I ask the client? She was like, ask the client. And the client said, yes, go ahead and take the restriction off before you try to do the sale. So I sent the paperwork up to the other department for them to take it off. And they replied back to me, was like, oh, we only do these things once a month. And I was like, wait, what? Since when? And they was like, this is a new policy for us. We only doing it once a month. So I went to my manager and said, listen, what am I supposed to do? They're only doing these things once a month. And she said, well, then just wait. And I said, wait for a month? And she was like, yes. And I'm like, are you sure? And so she was like, yes. So I replied back to the client and told them it may take a while before we can remove this restriction for me to be able to sell the stuff. And they was like, okay. So this was like a Thursday. By that Friday, I just let them know update is still not removed. By that Monday, they're questioning me, Shawnee, why hasn't this been done? And I'm like, well, you told me to have the restriction removed. The restriction still is not removed. It's not my department that does this. I'm at the mercy of someone else. I've been asking them. By that Tuesday I get in, they have contacted the vice president. So now he has pulled me and my manager in the office. Shawnee, why didn't you do da 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 da? This is not like you. Luckily we're not gonna lose a lot because it was a sell. Because you know how I'm quite sure you wouldn't understand this. When you're dealing with sales and buys and how the market could change. So how much you pay for something or how much you sell something, it can affect your bottom line. And he was like, right now we have to do this for this person. Right now we're only losing a couple of $100. But what if they were selling more than what the shares that they're selling? This could have been really bad for the company because we could have been losing thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I can't understand why you, and I said, well, I let the client know, and then I still don't understand. Just because of a restriction, you still should have did it, da da da. And so I'm waiting for her to chime in to say,
take up for you.
Yes, well, I'm the one that told Shawnee not to do it. So I'm sitting there looking at her like, with this look on my face like, I know you're going to speak up. So I'm not saying anything because I know she's already very nervous about her getting this new position. I know she's already crying and carrying on. So I don't want to make life more difficult for her. So I'm just taking it. I'm not saying anything. I'm just taking it because I'm expecting her to be a woman. Because I'm one of those people, if I'm wrong, I'm going to stand up for my wrong and I'm going to admit my wrong. So I'm expecting her to be the same type of woman. She wasn't.
No.
So I had to take.
Never expect what you do for a person, a company, a community will be reciprocated.
Yep.
Don't ever think that. Don't think, well, I gave my coworker a ride to work for 6 weeks while their car was in the shop. If the tables are turned, don't you think for a second that they would do it for you because you did it for them.
Let me tell you, that's the God honest truth. And that day changed our relationship. It changed our relationship. And I never forget, I was talking to one of the other, I, our department is really weird. So I was talking to another manager for my department, and I was in a parking lot, and I was telling her about it, and I just burst out in tears, like tears, crying. And she was like, no, you should have told him. And I'm like, well, I didn't want to get her in trouble. She's already, overwhelmed. Da, da, da. And I said, I just thought that she was going to be a woman of integrity and was going to stand and say, well, I did. She was like, why would you think that? Like, kind of like what you're saying. Like, why would you assume that? Just because that's the type of person you are, Shawnee, you can't assume that that's the type of woman she is.
Because people are just extra.
Yeah, and people are just people.
People will look out for their own best interests.
Absolutely.
And don't assume. I don't care if it's at work, at school, at church.
At church.
Especially at church.
Yep.
And we're not saying you can't love your church family. Love your church family, and you should be there for them to a certain comfort level. However, don't think because you did it for them, they'll do it for you.
Absolutely.
But with that being said, we love y'all.
Yes.
We are going to bring this episode to a close. We hope that you got something out of this. And even, some things, if it ain't, like your phone, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If your car is still running smooth after 10, 15 years, keep it. Because there's no peace like having no car payment.
Listen.
Other things.
Listen.
But other things in your life, like Shawnee just said, you really have to question. If there's a job and you think that your coworker or boss is going to stick up for you because you stuck up for them and they don't, you really have to question why you're staying at that company.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Or if your cousin is always borrowing money from you and can't seem to pay you back, but you always see them with a new purse, then, that bank needs to close.
Absolutely. Let me tell you, money can put a wedge between family, between friends, between enemies. I mean, like, money is like one of those things that, and I always tell people, if you truly can't afford to give it to someone, don't give it to them.
Yeah, if you can't afford to never see it again.
Yes, don't give it, because very few people, I'm not going to say people won't, but very few people will honor their word and give
very few.
Very few. And then there's some people may have good intentions of honoring their word, and life happens. Let's be honest. Sometimes life happens, and you may be like, it's between me paying you back and paying my rent, or me paying you back and I'm evicted and don't have nowhere to live. I'm going to pay my, you know what I mean? So sometimes it's not that people don't want to do the right thing. Sometimes things happen. So I always tell people, if you truly can't afford to give it and look at it like once you give it, it's gone. If the person pays it back, amen. If the person doesn't pay it back, amen. Because
and the other thing, if you let's say you lent somebody $50, and they're like, I swear I'll pay you back, and they haven't paid you back yet. If they go to Chick-fil-A, you see their car at Chick-fil-A
every day.
Don't I didn't say every day, but if you see your car at Chick-fil-A just getting a milkshake or something, because this time of year they have the peppermint milkshakes because it's seasonal. So good. But don't chase their car down talking about you have money for Chick-fil-A, but you can't give me my money back.
Now, and I understand that, but then sometimes, on the flip side, like I said, if you see this person at Starbucks every day, and we know Starbucks is not cheap.
No.
Because that $5 or $10 you spend it at Starbucks, you could be saving every day to give me my $50 back. And within a week, I would, less than 7 days, I would have my $50 back. Or if somebody borrow money from you and you see them on social media bragging how they just bought them a new Gucci pocketbook. And you're like, wait, what?
I'm going to beat the cost of that purse out of you.
And on that note, we love you guys.
Don't tell me you broke. And I don't see you with something small like Chick-fil-A.
Right.
I see you with something big.
Or you see the person going on vacation. They're going on a cruise.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
You claim you're broke, but then I see you on vacation. You call me crying because they're about to take your car, but you're in Nassau, Bahamas.
Yes. When I'm still stuck here. Because I don't let you borrow my money.
And then when you finally, even if you say, hey, you need to give me my money back by Friday. Well, here's a little funky $50. It wasn't a funky $50
when you was asking for.
Thank
you. And then they get an attitude because you had to. I can't believe you asking me for this $50. Well, I can't believe that you asked me for my $50. How about that?
It was my $50, and you should have just given it to me.
Yeah. And, okay, if I had not given you my little funky $50, what would have happened to you?
Shaniqua, are you trying to say that this has happened to you before?
You know what? Because I'm a very, very nice person. I'm a very compassionate person. I'm a very kind person. And if I have it, I will give my last. I am that kind of person. And I'm not that person that will ask for my money back. It has to be a situation where I can't even think of a situation. I have to be in such a bind.
Or maybe you just let them know up front, this is a loan.
Yeah, I've watched enough court shows with my mom to learn that you have to make stuff clear, and you have to get stuff, whether it's a text message that, if you come over tomorrow, I'm going to allow you to loan you the $20 that you ask for. You have to put stuff in writing because people these days, I can't see me suing someone, but I watch enough court shows with my mom to find out that people do sue others, whether they're family members or not.
I do know.
But you know what, sis?
I watch the court shows too.
You know what the biggest thing is I find with people that borrow things from other people? They have a spirit of entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
What is that about? I mean, that could be a totally different topic.
That's a whole different topic, and we promise we're going to end in the next 45 seconds. But people, especially family, if you worked hard and saved and did whatever, and let's say you started out washing cars by hand, but now you own 3 or 4 car washes that you can drive through, they can detail it, whatever the case may be. They feel like just because we're related, you owe me. You
owe me. I heard Rihanna say, when they were talking about her becoming a billionaire, she said, listen, don't be coming by my house asking, can you borrow $20? And I'm like, it was funny, to hear somebody say that of her statues to say, don't be trying to.
She wasn't always a billionaire, and they should understand that.
Right, and she has kids, and people don't realize just because they're saying they're a billionaire doesn't mean they have $1 billion in the bank where they could just go
right there. Yes,
right. They have assets that allow them to become a billion. Most people.
Now she might have $100 million in the bank that she can just touch.
Absolutely,
but that's her money.
That's her money to do whatever she wants to do.
She wants to. I don't care if she wants to have breakfast in bed served on silver platters every morning by her staff. That's her money.
That's her money, and that. Listen, as soon, I say this all the time, as soon as I become wealthy or in a place where I can have people to help me out in my household, the first thing coming off my list is laundry. I say it all the time. I hate laundry. I will clean a gas station toilet.
Oh.
Yes, that's how much I despise doing laundry. Recently, I took my laundry to this place to have my laundry washed because because I had been sick for such a long time, my laundry really had gotten away from me, if I could be honest with you. Last year I went through what I went through last year, then this year going through, but it was too much. It really was too much. So I had to actually take my laundry somewhere because I figured that's for my self-care. That was a form of self-care for me, is to be able to take my laundry somewhere for people to go ahead and wash them, I did sort them all, but for them to wash them, dry them, fold them, and when I tell you, these people did an excellent job. They did the way they folded my clothing, the way they sorted them. They did and I said,
maybe
God,
I should do that because I don't mind doing laundry.
And I said, God, you know what? Allow me, even right now in my state right now, allow me to be able to afford to take my laundry to get it washed. If it's not every 2 weeks, at least every 3 weeks, to be able to go and get my clothes laundered like that.
And if you're listening out there, I don't mind doing laundry. Just make sure it's not disgusting.
Really?
I would do it for you and bring it back to your house.
Really?
Yeah, I don't mind doing laundry.
Honey, don't tell me that, because I sure did pay them people to do my laundry.
I find it very, very soothing to watch the soap go around in the machine.
See, now I feel like that about washing dishes. I have no problem with washing dishes.
The was one chore I actually do not like.
I will wash dishes. I will clean a toilet. Don't have problems doing those laundry. When I tell you, it does something to me, and it felt so good now I still have laundry to do. I have like bags of comforters and sheets and some towels that I have to wash. And we were going to go and said, my mom said, we're going to start washing this stuff this week. And then my car broke down. And so that's a different story. But we thank you guys for listening and for supporting us for season 2 of Not Your Average Church Girls. We don't take it lightly. You know, when I think about, I had to preach, we're going to close, but I really want to say this. I preached the day before Thanksgiving. And part of my sermon, I was trying to encourage people. And I said, sometimes you have to look at where God has brought you from in order to appreciate where you're at right now. And I said, maybe your business may not be as successful as you have hoped or dreamed for it to be. And I said, just because it's not as successful as you want it to be, does not mean it's not going to become successful. And I said, what you have to understand is, at least your business is no longer on a paper. Somebody's business is still in their mind. It's still a thought. It's still on the paper. And that's how I feel about this podcast. It's not just a thought any longer. God has allowed us to actually bring it to fruition. So We're grateful that we can have a season 2. We're grateful for everyone who listens in the United States of America and abroad. We are very, very grateful to each and every one of you. So we just ask you to continue to download, to subscribe, to like it, to start commenting. Tell us what you think about our topics, about our what we discuss. Tell us what you would like for us to discuss. If you would like to hear us do interviews with other people, let us know your thoughts.
Please tell us.
Yes, please tell us. And if there's any sponsors out there that would like to sponsor Not Your Average Church Girls podcast, Pepsi, I love Diet Pepsi. If you want to sponsor us, we're all for it. I
don't like diet soda. It has to be full sugar.
Well, see, I said diet. She wants full sugar. Pepsi Cola, if you want to sponsor us, listen, we are here for it. But until next time, God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. And may heaven smile upon you is my prayer.
Have a great day.
Bye.